Hi, I'm Jett Kuso, and today I'm gonna try to answer one simple question. Why is Bakugan so much fun? I have just started actually playing Bakugan Battle Planet in my local comic book shop. And it's fun. It's a fun game, it's charming, it's engaging. Everyone who sees other people playing and everyone who picks up the toys, everyone who looks through the cards and thinks about strategy is getting interested in it. And it's just like I remember it way back when the game first came out, 10 years ago. Bakugan didn't make any sense to me 10 years ago until one of my friends brought over a B1 Aqua's Fear Ripper. And he stuck it onto the mailbox and it popped open and my mind exploded. And kind of from that moment forward, I was hooked. I was trading them, I was buying them from kids in the neighborhood. It developed into this really fun, engaging small community just in my neighborhood and in schoolyards.
It makes Digimon look like Pokemon. What? Impossible!
And for some reason, I'm seeing the same thing happening with Bakugan Battle Planet, with kids and with adults, and it's really exciting. And that has made me ask this question, why?
Why?
So to find out what makes Bakugan so much fun, I think we need to take a look at what made Bakugan eventually fail the first time around. Why was it not able to grab on and hold people in the same way that other card games do? Some people blame traps, battle gear, Mechtagon, bad designs, Alto Bronte's disease, Retakai, weak gameplay, power creep. All of these things are valid, but I think they're symptoms of a greater issue. Support pieces in Bakugan were essentially extra toys that you could supplement into your team to give yourself more power, to change your attribute, or to access special gameplay benefits. Usually it just consisted of rolling your Bakugan like normal, and then when you're in the battle you just play one of the support pieces.
Change the course of battle with new Bakugan traps and instantly take control.
Even the giant, ridiculous things like Dragonoid Colossus, you could still play those in the game, and you would essentially win every time. If you were playing with all of the support pieces, you could win every single time. Despite all of that, I think everyone kind of has their favorite support piece. The issue with support pieces is in the end, they boil down to just being another card effect. There's no reason why every single battle gear couldn't just be an ability card that gives you a G-Power boost on a certain color of gate card. There's some strategic potential, but it doesn't actually slot into the core gameplay.
They come in all kinds of shapes and sizes, like football, pyramid, coin, cube, drum, and tetradecahedron.
You might have thought they were cool looking, or you might have thought they were fun or neat to have something you put on your Bakugan, or something that is a different shape, or like a weird car that pops open, or a giant dragon. This stuff is fun and neat as a toy, but in the end, none of it created engaging gameplay. It was just random power-ups, extra abilities, stuff that piles more power level on top of a game that already had power creep issues. I mean, that's how it started, but by the end you were having to carry around a big bucket of spring-loaded plastic, and that's not fun.
In just a few years, our decks went from this to this. I mean, how many pockets does Spinmaster think we have?
And then there was the issue of power creep in general, which was really, that's just how they decided to try to sell more toys. Every single time a new season comes out, all of the new Bakugan are slightly more powerful than the old ones. So you're not able to use your own Bakugan anymore unless you're fighting against someone else using old Bakugan, and you have to buy the new Bakugan if you want to have any kind of a competitive edge. You weren't able to use your favorite cards or your old strategies. You just have to buy the new stuff. It's not that any of these things were awful on their own, but when you do it every single series, to the point at which the shelves of the stores are mostly Mechtagon and Battle Gear and mobile suits with just a little sliver of Bakugan, it turned into too much of a toy line and not enough of a game. What is the core concept of Bakugan? If you boil it down, what is the bare minimum? The core concept of Bakugan combines quite a lot of time-tested elements of games from all through history. It's bowling, it's marbles, it's playing cards, it's TCGs. All of these mashed together form a game that's fun. It's basically an action card game.
カードゲーム
じゃない。アクションカードゲーム。
Bakugan is not a toy line with a card game. Bakugan is a TCG with an action skill mechanic that makes the gameplay varied and interesting. It's just as much about skill and practice, and that makes it exciting and makes it theatrical. It's fun to do, it's interesting to watch. There's, I don't want to say a randomness because it's skill-based, but there's an excitement to the gameplay that kind of doesn't get old. I think the reason it hit so strongly as a new concept is because the toy battles and the toy line and the monsters and the designs mimic the real life physical battles that we often see in anime for like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, sure, you play your Yu-Gi-Oh! Card and then a monster pops out of it. I haven't watched Yu-Gi-Oh! But a monster pops out of it and they fight each other. That's what Bakugan was. It felt closer to actually experiencing these shows and actually experiencing what is going on in your imagination. The battles always seemed a lot less like abstract numbers and stats and card art. It was physical, it was real. You see the monsters hit each other and fight, or you see them on the cards, you know, looming there waiting for a battle. That's the fun thing about the Springs, is it feels like the Bakugan were in the ball, primed and ready all the time to be unleashed out into combat. So it gave this real, concrete, sort of palpable battle system to what is otherwise, in every other card game, in the end, just a bunch of numbers and conditions. And those two elements together are fun and engaging and charming. And that's why support pieces kind of missed the point. Because rolling the Bakugan and the Bakugan landing and fighting, that's the battle. The battle is not throwing plastic onto the characters to try to make them more powerful. The absolute last thing you want in a card game is pay to win. Hold on, like how much G-Power does this thing have? I'm pretty sure this thing has a G-Power printed on it somewhere. Yeah, 300 G-Power. This big dumb thing that you can just throw onto a card in a battle has 300 G-Power. This thing is just as powerful as original Wave 1 Bakugan are. And once you've made one support piece, once you've made Bakugan Trap, what keeps you from making battle gear or mobile suits or everything else? I mean, that's how traditionally you should run a toy line, but they shouldn't be running it like a toy line. They should be running it like a card game, and people will buy the new stuff because it's fun, not because they feel like they have to buy it to win. So if you want to keep the game fun, don't add more plastic. Add new cards, add new mechanics, add normal Bakugan that have different effects and different gameplay mechanics, but don't add more plastic. Don't add non-round plastic.
No other game has Bakugan strategy, skill, and action. Bakugan. Sets and additional accessories sold separately.
This is not a very cohesive essay, but I'm enjoying it. Okay, so that's the past. Now let's talk a little bit about the present. Bakugan Battle Planet is brilliant. Basically everything they've done is the smartest thing I have ever seen in a toy line release. For one, the switch to simultaneous rolling is so exciting. It feels a little bit less strategic in which Bakugan you roll when, but it's so exciting to see the Bakugan roll at the same time and hit each other or pass each other or knock each other off. I was using a Titan Ilias in a brawl on Saturday, and I rolled it and it hit the tail and leaped over backwards over my opponent's Bakugan. His Bakugan stood and mine flipped entirely over despite the fact that I was rolling it backwards, and then landed and picked up a second core. And that's amazing, and that kind of thing happens constantly in this game. It's so theatrical, so that was a brilliant change, and I love that. I like the fact that the Bakugan pick up cores, and there's a lot of gameplay mechanics that involve cores that are a lot more interesting and more varied than gate cards ever were. One thing I don't like is the fact that the hide matrix gets really messed up really easily. Like, it just gets really sloppy, and that's annoying, but it's fun, so I don't care. That's my thing. If it's fun, I don't care. It doesn't have to be the same thing, it just has to be good. The other thing that they changed it to a typical 40 card deck. Ugh! Gosh, that's so good. All of these strategies tie in to essentially the flawless timing of Bakugan Battle Planet. So 10 years ago, the game came out, and it was marketed towards 8 to 12-year-olds, and there was no attempt to market to any older an audience than that, and rightfully so. The game was fun, and it was simple, which was perfect for that demographic, but it didn't have any staying power, which I guess is why they put so much focus on it being a toy line, but kids liked the game. Or they at least liked feeling like there was a cohesive game. Because in the end, kids don't want to be treated like kids. They want all of the benefits of childhood, but to be treated like an adult. They want to be treated smart, and they want to be treated mature. Kids are smarter than people give them credit for. I've played several Bakugan Battle Planet games with some pretty young kids. Kids who are 8 to 12, and they're playing the full-blown card game. And playing with older fans is really fun for them as well, because it makes them feel like they're on the same level. And when they get to win one of those games, that's so much fun. I sneezed. Because we're 10 years later, and now everyone who played with Bakugan back then is now 18 to 22. They remember loving this simple game, and now the game is complex enough that they can still love it and still get excited about it. If you can get adults into it, kids are absolutely going to love it. With that said, I do want to address negativity in the fandom. Every fandom has complaints, and every fandom has problems, and every brand and every game could be better. But what Bakugan Battle Planet needs more than anything else right now is undying support. We all want Bakugan to be a success. We all want it to last for years and be more successful than it's ever been, and it has that potential. But when you get too caught up in criticizing it and let that frustration fester inside of you, it creates a bad fandom and a negative fandom really quick, and that will turn away adults, that will turn away kids, that will turn away people that just want to have fun and enjoy themselves. Sure, there's stuff that I don't like, and there's stuff that I think could be improved, but it's a step in the right direction. I've said this before, but Ventus Knight is the best community manager I've ever seen in a fandom. He feels like we have a man on the inside. He feels like someone who likes this just as much as we do, who's trying his hardest to get the information that we want to hear. So if there's any plea that I could make to the fandom, have fun with it, forgive Spin Master while they figure it out, support Ventus Knight, support Spin Master, support Bakugan, watch the show, share it, get other people interested in it, go to comic book shops, make this game the best that it's ever been. On top of that, if there is something that I have to say to Spin Master, if I can make one plea to Spin Master, keep doing what you're doing. Stick to 3 Bakugan, stick to cool designs, stick to functional designs, don't bring in a ton of random support pieces, don't force us to buy a bunch of plastic. I try to be positive. I try to put out a good message, and I try to support this toy line because I love it, and it's given me so much happiness that I want that to continue, and I want it to go on so long that a new generation discovers it, and a new generation after that. Just keep going. Keep improving, keep honing in on what makes Bakugan a fun game and what people really like about it, rather than trying to make whatever is going to sell toys, and you will make something that lasts, and make something that sells toys for decades, rather than just a few years. So, that about wraps it up. What?
You're pretty good at selling Bakugan on YouTube. Are you ready to sell Bakugan for your country?
So a quick disclaimer, that is just my opinion. I don't know anything. I have no knowledge or experience. I'm just a fan who likes this toy line, and I want it to continue, and I think it's fun. So hopefully that answers the question. If you have any questions or if you disagree with me, leave them in the comments and I'll probably get to them. Remember to follow me on Twitter @JettKuso, and I'll see you next time.